Good morning and welcome to the morning update on TV XYZ, proudly brought to you by X Natural Mineral Water, and of course my makeup is by Black Secret Makeup. But this morning I have a quotation for you on the front page of the Chronicle. It says here that, and you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. That is John 8:32. Please. My co-host is here, and the moment I started reading something in the Bible, he looked at me funny.
No, in the ever say lakpato homotodio.
I know lakpato. That is like lies or something.
Koshinyin den one show no. Etoba na yin 1-1. So that's a show na catch or the ne bibi wo ho na wa show.
Na wa show.
Honestly no can there.
Before you explain that. We'll take our motivational message from Obobia Dako Opoku.
Good morning, and thanks for joining me on Pause for 3. My name is Obobia Dako Opoku, and this motivational presentation is brought to you by FlexiPay, Endless Possibilities, a product of the First Atlantic Bank. In today's episode, we will talk about walking in other people's shoes. This is a popular saying which encourages us to put ourselves or see ourselves from other people's perspective as we prepare to take a decision or review a situation. It does not, however, mean that is what you must always do. In other words, I don't have to walk in your shoes to be a decent human being. Character is everything, and bad character and the lack of decency for others can be very devastating. Take a moment and look around you. Your house help, the church mate, the security man at your workplace, the watches seller on your junction, the tomato seller you buy from, the hawker in the traffic, people you think are less influenced in society. How do you treat them? Do you say thank you to them for the service they provide to you? Let's always remember that our ability to view life from the living conditions of others is a very key trait we must not overlook. It is sad to observe that even in our religious settings, where love and compassion is preached, some people still look down on the less privileged. As you step out from your house this morning, don't forget that people have to put up with a lot to provide you with the service you enjoy, sometimes at the expense of their comfort, their health, and for very meager salaries. It only pays to be nice to them. You actually don't need to be in their shoes to understand their pain or their frustrations and feelings before doing the simple thing of showing appreciation or saying sorry where need be. There's something called empathy, which is very much lacking in us these days. So next time, before you act rudely or disregard someone you think is below you, consider this. You never know how hard someone's job is until you have to do it yourself. Being extra nice does not hurt at all. Thank you. This has been Pause for 3 minutes on the morning update on TV XYZ and Xyz TV. You can watch this and previous episodes on Facebook at Pause for 3 and on YouTube at Pause for 3 TV. If you have a message or story to share with me, send me a mail, pause43@xyzgroup.com, or share your message via Messenger on Facebook. Pause for 3 minutes is produced by the Event PR Company Limited and brought to you by FlexiPay, Endless Possibilities, a product of the First Atlantic Bank.
Indeed, being nice doesn't cost you anything. I mean, I say thank you all the time and sorries. And so most of the time, my friends say, don't you get tired of saying thank you? I mean, you didn't have to. I even say no thank you. And they correct me all the time that when you say no, you don't have to say thank you. But I'm just used to it. How often do you say thank you?
There was a period in our history where it's a pleasure became the word of the day or the phrase for the day. Right. Anything, it's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
If I step on your toes, please, sorry, it's a pleasure. So it's a pleasure being with you. It's now time for the newspaper headlines, Abna.
Yes, I have the Daily Graphic, I have the Daily Dispatch, and of course the Chronicle. Which ones do you have?
I have the Ghanaian Times and the Business and Financial Times. Shall I start?
Sure.
Right, front page of the Ghanaian Times, one big story here. It comes with a picture of the Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Educhum. It says, let's rethink our educational system. Education Minister ignites debate. That's the front page. Of course, it's come at the right time because there's a lot of concern about what we are running at the moment. The conversation is about no textbooks over the period of 2 years, no examination for children in the basic level. The confusion at the SHS level, especially with the management of the free education policy. And yesterday, Charles also said furniture that is for the children to use in the classrooms, beds to sleep on, and other logistical challenges are the reason why they recommended to government that the final year students must not come. And so it tells you there's a lot we need to talk about. And of course, a lot of educationists or academicians are still pressing on government that look, the free education policy, we should rethink it. Should it be limited to just the poor school, who maybe government may find it very difficult to segregate and determine that Abena is poor, Eric can pay, or vice versa, or it should be free for everybody, especially at the time when we are strangulating under COVID in terms of our economy and size.
How about the tuition itself becomes free, but you buy the textbooks and the other things that come with it? Because if you are not paying the tuition,
that is another thing that I believe that if parents would want to support. What I know is that a lot of parents are willing to support the schools. Many of the headmasters and headmistresses are saying that we don't want to be associated because the directive is that don't be involved in anything. Meanwhile, they are crying out. They are telling parents through the back door that these are the problems we are facing. And because PTAs cannot levy students, they can only suggest dues, and it is voluntary. And some of the parents are very generous. They are giving out to support the schools. But if you have a school size of about, let's say, 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, and even 500 of them are very committed, there will still be a problem because the usual Ghanaian attitude where a section would want to hang on others who are ready to support. So even if it is 50 cedis per parent, I believe it can help. Some don't pay, and you can't force them to pay.
That's because
all the children at the end of the day will suffer the pressure when the schools cannot provide the facilities. And so the conversation is appropriate at this time.
We really need to rethink
Well, other stories. Kasua Meda slain 10-year-old boy to be buried today. And President cut short for construction of 5 million building for head of state award scheme. An ID card for Momo Cash withdrawals take off, but some users are unhappy. All these are on the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Back page has sports, and UMAT cut short for $1.2 million lecture hall also comes as two big stories on the back page of the Ghanaian Times. There are other stories. I'll come back to that when you finish on
your so I'll do Daily Graphic. And on the front page, traders flow onto pavements. Our Graphic Road CMB enclave was affected. This actually also constitutes to the traffic situation that we are experiencing in the country. That is another issue we will be discussing today based on Otunfo's statement.
Recommendation.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Also, it says school children left stranded without classrooms. Now, halt supplies to debt-ridden OMC's government task, National Petroleum Authority. Now, on the back page, it says new GSA testing. That is the Ghana Standard Authority testing laboratory nears completion. Now, they say the laboratory will be the first of its kind in the West African sub-region, whereas dead marine mammals still in communities. So somewhere in the western region, the market women are still selling the dead mammals we
yes,
found.
I've seen
on
a story
shore.
in the Business and Financial Times, and the advice is very simple. It says, suspend the consumption of kako for now.
Is it only kako? Because I know they do the momoni as well.
I'm sure FDA knows Ghanaians like kako.
I like momoni. Every time I'm preparing okra stew or what's it called? The green thing, kontomire. I mean, when you're using the red oil and you put the momoni, it gives it some, you know, some.
Why is it that every kontomire stew, especially the one they grind in Iowa, they want to add one egg? I don't understand.
It's not everybody. You
But
add one egg.
Ask for the Kobe to be present.
Kobe will definitely be
And I'm
present.
told that those who eat too much Kobe, especially the head, you become bored. or tilapia. You know, when you pull the flesh from the skull, the back, there is some whitish juice or whatever there. That is what gives you the brain. This is the breakfast show on Xyz.
Is this from personal experience?
No, it's scientist recommendation.
From which page did you see this? I'm very interested.
Just Google it. Or the Everest will say, go and Google it.
I will Google it.
Go and Google it. Now let me go to page 7 and page 11 of the Ghanaian Times. Page 7 says 3 organizations support NAPCO youth groups to turn ideas into business. You know, the Nation Builders Corps. Government objective is that some will transition into the organizations which will be training them, and others will learn skills and move on. So these 3 organizations are helping. One of them is called, in fact, the program under which this was disclosed were called Creativity and Entrepreneurship Event. And this one includes NBSSI and some other organizations. Just get it and read it for yourself. Now, page 11 says, poor accountability, incessant borrowing responsible for economic woes. Professor Ajumandia is also suggesting here. Now, this is another interesting story on page 11 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. And I finished with the Ghanaian Times.
Okay, so I saw something on the page 17 of the Daily Graphic. Now it says unemployment, the biggest challenge in Takrady. And I think this is actually emanating from the fact that most of us, every time we complete school, or even if we don't go to school, we expect that we'll get a white collar job. That is the mentality we have. Even when you don't go to school, you make some money, they expect you to act or dress like someone who has been to school. And so people are not looking at the other sectors that they can actually make money from. There are events that you can organize, there are things that you can rebrand and sell and make some money out of it. So then you realize that even though people that are working, I know a woman in my neighborhood, she works in a bank. She's opened a shop where she sells baby clothing. She imports a whole lot of basic things that you can use at home. So there are a lot of things that you can do and not necessarily wait for somebody to employ you before you can find something to do.
And what we have to be innovative. Very educative. You will be joining Obobia soon. So we'll create another segment for you to advise the youth. In fact, it's very true.
Yeah.
I was telling somebody a few years ago that, look, if I lost my job and I'm not getting anywhere to be employed, I'll turn one of my cars into a taxi and drive around. Then the person screamed, how? I said, but what's wrong with it? You see, the same Ghanaian will go out there and then do all the kinds of menial jobs, raise money, come back home and bluff. But if you put the same person on the street, he will not do so. That's why I respect Kwewus. You go to Abusokai, you see them very dirty. Go there again around 5:30, 6 p.m. They will just go behind the container shop or wherever the shop is, fetch some water, wash their body, and then you will see the canvas and the jeans they wear back to their homes. They are not thinking about pleasing you. They are thinking about making money, build in their homes, and expand the economy in those areas.
Make their lives comfortable.
I don't know. When the junior secondary school concept was introduced, the idea was that let's move away from what you just talked about, the white-collar jobs where people will be given some skilled training. It started with the building of some of these technical workshops and so on. Many of the subjects have changed along the line. I don't know what informed it. As we speak now, a number of the universities are saying that it is not about putting a lot of knowledge in the heads of the people. They should go through practical training. Yes, that's for the formal sector. But if generally people will be hearing some of these motivational talks where they will understand that living and satisfying your goal, if it has to do with money, it's not about wearing suit and sitting in a cozy environment.
Because there are lots of people sitting in there who are actually struggling.
The watches seller out there has money more than me. I'm in suit, but I'm broke. And the person by close of day today would have made 1,000, 2,000, sweating, smelling everything around.
Yeah,
but
which is
go
true.
home with peace of mind.
I think I said here the last time when the lockdown was issued and we were in home, I learned how to bake. And actually it did help me a lot, because then people started ordering, and it wasn't, oh, I want one bread or two. I mean, they would order for, so they would come to me and say, okay, I have 50 CDs, how many bread can I get? Or I have 100 CDs, can I get this amount of cupcakes, etc., etc. So you can, you know, be innovative like that.
Good message from Abena. Let me do the Business and Financial Times front page. Bank of Ghana investigating money transfer breaches among banks and others offenders to be severely sanctioned. Interoperability platform records 568% surge in pandemic year. So these are how they appear on the front page of the Business and Financial Times. Back page, ICU unhappy with taxes on overtime of workers. ICU refers to the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union. So that's all I have in the Business and Financial Times.
The Chronicle, I think a lot of us will love this story. The 10-year-old boy that was murdered, I mean, we heard that they said they were going to use the body for money rituals. Now, a fetish priestess have been arrested in the Kaswa enclave for the murder. Apparently, she was the one they were going to take the body to. Also, Akufo-Addo will not collapse lotto businesses. Ochihini talks tough. He says no way for community mining. It is as destructive as Galamsey. Now, quickly, I'll do the Daily Dispatch. Alan could be running mate to a non-account flag bearer. This is also coming from Che Mensa Bonsu, whereas NLA reacts to allegations by Ghana Lottery Operations Association. Baumia launches National Petroleum Authority's National Retail Outlet fuel system. So this has been the newspaper headlines. We will quickly take some of our tidbits, and then when we come back, Wisdom Head Ejome will give us details of some of the headlines we have discussed. Yeah, that was very educational because most of the time things happen to people and we don't even know how to resuscitate them. Accident scenes, we go and sometimes the way we even pull them out is what causes their death. So please, let's try to adhere to some of these things. Now, also quickly, I'll say that Black Secret Makeup, we know, is a brand that is wholly Ghanaian. They've won a lot of awards. I know that you have heard about them, even if you haven't tried it. One of the best I like is their facial wipes. But I will come back to that quickly. Wisdom Header Jome is here to give us details of the headlines we discussed. Good morning. Today. It's your day today. That's why you're all excited. You've been jumping up and down. I didn't understand.
It's good to be born on a Thursday.
Oh, yeah?
You know how it feels?
I disagree. It's good to be born on Tuesday. What do you have for us?
Nice. Well, so coming up this morning, 10-year-old slain for Rachel's be buried this morning. Asante Henne's proposed transport impact assessment policy to help regulate movement of cars and their import shut down by key stakeholders. Also coming up, 6 rearrested cell breakers slapped with 12-month imprisonment with hard labor, while Zenu police oust 6 more. And GES opens apology rejected by critics, accusing it of mismanagement and jeopardizing the education sector. We have details of these and other stories coming up. Please stay with us. Thank you for joining us this morning. We'll begin the stories from the Central Region, where the 10-year-old boy who was painfully killed by his playmate for money rituals to be buried this morning. Yesterday, Central Regional Minister, who commiserated with the family, assured them of swift investigations and justice.
Public anger is now directed at the National Media Commission after preliminary investigations suggest the Kaswatin ritual murderers were influenced by TV ritualists. Yesterday, the Central Regional Minister, Justina Marigold Hassan, led a team to commiserate with the late Ishmael's family. The minister, accompanied by the DC for the area, the regional police commander and other security couples, called for swift and thorough investigations to ensure all actors suffer the consequences.
In Shishama, police for a year, ma, one hour did the Mujumeno with two watch ye, and our prosecuting on none who be here there, postmortem kodo. Nyamencha, the young regional police commander, while body whom the papa did to Mana Kochi. Enti Yashe Busian Bode, Ochina Nyame Yadoma. Ishmael Bodino in Sabeka.
TV XYZ News Central Regional Correspondent Alex Donko also reports that the family spokesperson Samid Alalihu used the occasion to demand the remains of their son for immediate burial in line with Muslim tradition.
When we're going to the court, in Shishaya, extra say in Saka Ishmael Anka, Islam Council, it didn't bury him.
Ewutu Senya DC, Michael Esuman Mensah, who also spoke, raised concern about the increasing crime wave in the area and called for collaborative effort to weed out criminals.
Now, let's take you to some other stories because stakeholders in the transport industry say while they appreciate recommendations on road traffic management, especially in major cities and other highways, the proposed transport impact assessment policy is not needed now. Asante Hene Otunfo Setutu suggestions may have been informed by best practices elsewhere, but beneficiaries described it as misplaced because Ghana's public transport system is still a mess. There is more in this report.
The nightmares facing Ghanaians in major cities like Accra and Kumasi is vehicular traffic and its impact on their lifestyle and productivities. Some have lived with it for years and have to endure waking up as early as 3 a.m. if they want to be punctual at work or attend to an urgent business or retire as late as midnight. The accompanying drain on their pockets, health by way of stress and time for personal interests cannot be overemphasized.
From here to Kaswa, because of the road are not too big enough, so some of them before you go to Kaswa, it will take you too much, let's say 1 hour, 2 hours before getting to Kaswa because of the traffic distance. But when a road is too expanded, we can able to limit the traffic distance. And at the same time, when there's too much, when you put traffic at the center, each joint where people normally stand.
Available statistics on Ghana motor vehicle registered data indicates a sharp increase from a low of 159,000 units in 2015 to a record high of 890,000 in December 2015 and still rising by the day. These include both fresh and unused cars. The Transport Impact Assessment in the Asantehene Osei Tutu II's recommendation will, among other things, regulate car imports, determine the number of vehicles that must be allowed on our roads to address heavy vehicular traffic in our cities and other major roads.
Cars be prepared, Transport Impact Assessment in the say import to cars be brave. Once traffic no urban until you say how many cars in Abakremo and a bribia sena was it me wo Ghana memo has yakwano saying cars no be brave.
In Accra, for example, the headache was along the Adenta Accra, Medina Junction Tetekwashi roundabout, Kaswa Kaneshi stretch, Otsulabadi Teshi Road, and the Michelle Camp Temamoto Highway about 10 years ago. The conversation about dualizing major highways like Accra Kumasi, Accra Cape Coast, for example, is in the pipeline. But transport geographers say that may not necessarily address the challenges, citing the N1, for example. In their opinion, the best solution is creating alternative routes, efficient public transport system, including other alternatives, and decongesting business centers. TVXYZ News has been speaking to some key stakeholders.
Those who import vehicles have created job for themselves. So many people are currently into it. If that is to be stopped, you can imagine so many people are going to get out of business.
Public opinion is divided, as some believe the best solution beyond the Asantehene's proposal is to toll certain roads in the cities to reduce the luxury of just occupying the streets, but others insist an efficient public transport system will automatically solve the problem in urban centers, while basic issues like potholes, diversions and expansions will free space.
In most cases, decisions were taken without consulting transport operators. I'll plead with the authorities to say each time they want to take decision concerning transport and the transport industry, they should consult the operators so that we all, as professional as we are, GPI to bring our input, Cooperative, Protoa, Tiger, etc., etc. They all bring their input.
TVXYZ News will engage more stakeholders as the public debate on this canker continues.
Let's still stay in that space because automobile dealers in Ghana also believe the current crisis could be better managed if the DVLA stopped licensing rickety cars and government focuses on fixing our roads. National President of the Union, Eric Boateng, spoke to TVXYZ News.
If we didn't allow the rickety cars should be bound or should be parked, and then also focusing on the import ones, I don't think this we should hold. But the only thing we can do is that we should look at our own home first. We should address that one first before we can go out, because we are not manufactured cars in Ghana. So if we said the one coming in should bound or should limit it, and the one which is rickety, purely rickety, you can guess, if you like go to what they call Choco and this Bukom or Oliver, you can see the cars, you marvel. So I think the DVLA and the MTTD, they can intervene on those things.
Mr. Boateng also served notice that any attempt to re-register vehicles under the guise of a new policy will be resisted.
It's something they wanted to create for somebody to get his maybe daily income from. But then that means the old cars we have in the system means that they are not truly registered or what. As we have the data, what we're supposed to do is that the new one coming in, and if they want to bring another data to regulate that one, I'll support that. But if you said they are going to, about all those things, and then new registered vehicles should come to the system, I don't think so. Then it will be like there's somebody in somewhere office which they wanted to create a business for him to, feed his family.
And so we'll delve more into that interesting conversation later on this program. Well, let's turn attention to the education sector, because Ghana Education Service has apologized for the poor management of a decision on the reopening of for final year students. But it appears the public anger is far from the yesterday's blender.
Today, social media was awash with invectives against government, officials of the Ghana Education Service, and other stakeholders for the late announcement postponing the reopening date for final year students, some of who had traveled across regions to their schools before they learnt the new date is May 5. Critics accused government of gambling with the future of the students who should have been in school preparing for their final exams. Following the public anger, GES has been forced to issue a formal apology on its Twitter page. It read, "We apologize profusely." In another development, there's growing disappointment over a new GES directive to school heads to cease conducting exams at all levels from kindergarten to the junior high level. A circular dated March 31st ordered heads of basic schools across the country to use class exercises and class tests to assess their students. Deputy Director General of the GES, Dr. Kwabena Bempa Tando, who signed the notice, explained that students, after staying home for close to a year because of the coronavirus pandemic, are to participate in what GES describes as recovery learning. Meanwhile, concerns have been raised about a delay in the release of textbooks for the newly designed curriculum 2 years on. TV XYZ News has been sampling public opinion on developments.
Because right now, if your child will go to school within 1 week, 2 weeks, then he or she will come back to the house to stay again. I think it don't help the nation. They are supposed to let the school go back to where it is. The government is trying its best to help, but I think Ghana, they don't need the help. So you understand what I mean? They don't need the help because those of us can pay our own school fees.
Maybe a teacher and maybe a sender
I don't know what happened, but I think they are lacking planning. When you plan well, you should be able to come out with good policies that will not cause such problems. So I think further or henceforth, there should be a committee to sit down, plan ahead. You can plan 5 years plan. Even the whole nation don't have a plan.
Yesterday, the minority group in Parliament condemned what they described as the mismanagement of the education sector. The release, signed by the ranking member on the Education Committee, Peter Nochu Kotoye, accused the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, of putting impediments in the way of the Ghana Education Trust Fund. He described the delay in payment of over 800 million cedis to contractors as partly to blame for the free SHS challenges. He, among other things, called for prompt payment and the revamping of the parent-teacher associations to support in the management of schools.
Now, a viral video in which health staff of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital are seen wheeling new babies from what suggests a maternity ward on fire has been described as misleading. Details are in the following report.
Kolebu, there's fire outbreak over here. We need a fire service now. Take it up. We need a fire service now. Wait, take it easy.
This video, which popped up on social media, went viral amidst concern about the plight of the newborn babies at the maternity ward and their mothers. The accompanying commentary in the video posted last Tuesday, April 6, suggested desperate need for help as the fire service had failed to respond swiftly. But that false claim has been debunked. Public Relations Officer of Ghana's premier teaching hospital, Mustafa Salifu, in a brief statement, described it as false alarm to create panic. He said the block was not gutted by fire. but rather an air condition which was emitting smoke, but the situation was dealt with expeditiously. It added, as a precautionary measure, some of the babies were moved to another wing of the same floor.
Now let me take you back to the central region, and this time the Ewutu Senya area, where residents of some poor communities are deprived of potable water. Now they are crying for help because a project initiated by then former MP George Anda has been abandoned.
Anomawobi, Jaikodria and Jaikwanta are among very deprived farming community in Ewutu Senya West District of the Central Region. The residents are crying out for water now because they can no longer cope with the neglect over the years. They claim the situation is getting worse as the population expands while few sources of potable water runs dry. Some of the poor residents says their immediate past MP, George Anda, made some effort to address the plight through the provision of standpipes few months before the 2020 elections. Now the option for survival is to cope nearby communities or look for streams to collect water. Those who shared their plight said their only hope is the new MP, Xyz Tete, if she is really committed.
Omunya bas be bakwa na omu wie na bas no ko no man na tia ko school nti be sira omu pipe no on be ye man ye sira omu ye sira ban ye tumi be tan su ya no akopim ayi be 6 kra ye nya de o be ye duane kra no nya na afi akosa atantan bi ye se eni kokokokoko de ye duane kra na hu so se o di jare pa na hu nyina ye de e keka.
TV Xyz Central Regional Correspondent Alex Donko reports that the Ewutu Senya West MP says she is well briefed about the situation and intends to address it. Xyz Tete was in the community to assess the situation.
The major ones near ensure a big can a Lawrence Bakun a external pipes in Bakun a smart taps no Bakun chain cramp on say Mbe. Nti we mu say Mba na say o man no how because certain basic things yeah I say omunya. And the younger say the kind the akapa machine and the graded kind baby or budget say out to break who or couldn't quanta papa say a year babat soon as at eternity. Ama ye hold you on kakra.
And before we go, 3 more suspects have been picked up after escaping from the Atadeka police station in the Bonkatamanso district of the Greater Accra region. Now, according to official notice, 6 have so far been rearrested. Now, the first 3 have since been sentenced to 12 months imprisonment with hard labor. Now, they are slapped with conspiracy to commit crime, assault on public officer, and escape from lawful custody for pouring hot porridge on the officer on duty to facilitate their escape. The Atadeka police station are still on the manhunt for the remaining 6 after they escaped from the custody, who are currently at large. Many thanks for your company this morning. As always, do log on to myxyzonline.com for more news stories and updates. My name is Wisdom Hedejeme. Abena Sewa continues with morning update.
I am not the Bonsunaka.
Bonsuzuka.
Share.
Something say that.
All right, so
wait,
sorry.
Nana Abena Sewa
Bonsu or Chade. Yeah, so that was the news in brief on the morning update. If you are frustrated by the traffic situation in the country, then you might want to stick and stay. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Auto Check Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many Accra.
Sure.
Emission.
check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check. Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much.
AutoChecks.
AutoChecks. Check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
Check. AutoChecks.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
If I cry na menyisika, edia ye mefui.
Ehin fa na menya bosia, edia tre medwuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre, miye bosia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamu akwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodo bi te sɛ gadifo abosia, ekuokuo bosia, susu account, eni daso wo ho savings account, me bada chain savings account, ene de keka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 03422919896. Na won so wetumi aka sɛ
Suhum Rural Bank ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome back to the morning update on TV XYZ. This program is brought to you by X Natural Mineral Water and, of course, Black Secret Makeup. It is Ghanaian owned, as I stated earlier, and they have from foundation to eyeliner to the mascara. My favorite product from them is actually the lipstick, and the most important one is the facial wipe. Sometimes I get home so tired and I'm thinking, oh God, how long will I have to get out of my clothing and stand under the shower? So what I do is that I pick the, do not use this against me. I wipe my face with a wipe. I turn on my AC, close my door, and I'm gone. I'm fast asleep. That's not to say I don't shower. I do shower most of the time, but I'm saying that it refreshes you to the point that even if you don't, you still feel refreshed. All right, now let's get serious, because there's a lot of things that is happening in this country, and one of the things that frustrates us the most, well, for me personally, is traffic. Because if you have to go somewhere, in order to be early or to be on time, you need to leave your house. If you live at certain areas, you need to leave home about 2-3 hours earlier. And sometimes, if you are not careful, you might even fall into another traffic and become late. This morning, it nearly happened. The only thing that rescued us was the fact that because we left the house early, there wasn't a lot of vehicles on the road, because one car had hit the back of another car, tempting it to hit the other one in front of it. So there was an accident right in front of the underbridge. And those of you who use the underbridge, you know how narrow that road is, because there's one for each side. So if there were cars on the other side, it meant that I wouldn't have been here this morning, or I probably would have been late, because there was no way we could move those cars. And that is another thing. I don't know how effective the towing cars are in this country, and that is if there are even towing companies in this country at all. if there are, how do you even reach them when instances like this happen? Because if you're not able to even reach them, it means they're going to stay there till God knows how long before they move. And one thing that saddens me the most, I leave the house sometimes around 4 a.m., 4:30, and I see mothers and children walking by the roadside, going, I don't know where they are going to, but you see the kids in school uniform. There is one particular boy that passes in front of my estate. So every time I do not see that boy, it means that I am a little behind time. Because at exactly 4:30, you will see him passing, going to school. And this is a secluded neighborhood. I'm always worried about his safety, but he doesn't go my way, so I don't know how to pick him up and drop him in school and come here or be on time. If not, I would have taken it upon myself to pick him and drop him all the time. And these are just small instances that we can cite. Again, another issue that causes this traffic that I have seen is how bad our roads are. I mean, if the road is bad, you have to take your time to drive. And so you see that I'll use my road because I that's the one I ply often, and I see it happen. Whenever the cars are a lot, you see that they are driving so slow because the road is bad. They have to take their time to move from one point to the other. And that is another problem that we are facing. But we'll be talking to an expert who also will be telling us how we can manage this situation. Now, speaking of managers, yesterday we spoke, we did hear that Asante Hene giving some proposed things that, he thinks can help resolve this issue. But I'll be talking to Nana Yao Akwada. He works with the Bureau of Public Safety. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers.
All right, now, thank you for talking to us. I don't know if you heard of the Asante Hene's proposed, solution to the problem that we are facing with regards to traffic.
Well, I think yesterday I got I got a rundown by your producer. I'm yet to cite the story on any portal as yet. But if what your producer told me isn't to go by, on the basis of that, we can proceed to have a decent discussion. The solution, the proposal by the Asante Hene, with all intents and purposes, looking at its position within our society, one can conclude that it is well intended. But as to whether it is well informed, it's a matter for discussion, and I believe that's why we are here. His proposal that we should more or less run a shift system on our roads is something that, though may be good, but may not apply in this country for several reasons. And I believe, I don't know if you've been discussing this in a while ago. I don't know what points other discussants have raised. So I run the risk of repeating myself as I woke up not long ago.
So what the Asante Hene proposed has to do with transport impact assessment, basically to regulate the number of cars that come into the country.
Okay, so basically that's what I refer to as a shift system. I think once you run a transport impact assessment, we may end up, per the Asante Hene's suggestion, we're going to end up seeing that we have too many cars on the road, and that there will be a need for us to put some cars out there in certain days of the week and take some cars off the road in certain days of the week, so that others whose cars are off the road might join public transport system. The first question to ask is, what sort of public transport system do we have? How effective and convenient is it for citizens? Once you arrive at that answer, which your answer will not be any different from mine, we do not have a reliable public transport system, and also not too decent a public transport system. I wonder how many of us will want to work and go and climb a trotro, or if you like, take a common taxi. So that right there makes the proposal, surface a hitch. Secondly, in countries where this practice is done, like the Philippines and elsewhere in Europe, they have effective law enforcement systems that work. This is a country where we cannot even enforce the lowest of our road traffic laws. How are we going to be able to monitor with the kind of data systems that we are even keeping in order to enforce this proposal by the Asantehene? This is a country where for more than or close to a decade, we've been discussing common, and let me use the word common, spot fines for road traffic. We've been discussed close to 10 years. We cannot find the structure or build the structure, or we cannot find the political will to kick this project off the ground. Hence, the indiscipline that we see on our roads. The kind of traffic that we have, we cannot say that we have more cars per capita than the United States or probably countries in Europe. It's not possible to just conclude that we have more cars per capita than those countries. Okay?
Yeah.
So the indiscipline on the roads, if we cannot even have the political will, the technology to control that on the road, how are we going to enforce this? So I'm sorry, my dear. With all due respect to the king, this proposal will not fly in the state. I mean, considering the status quo of our country now, this proposal, no matter how we look at it, it will not fly. Before we can think of this proposal, we must consider effective transport system, a good database of all vehicles on our roads. We must get a robust and efficient law enforcement agency that is prepared to enforce the laws. Then we can look at some of those things. Why? We live in a country where driving has become almost like a right, where on a daily basis the number of lives being lost due to road traffic crashes is more than 3 of our top diseases combined. I just heard yesterday that between January and March, we have lost over 700 lives due to road crashes. And just per our statistics, the BPS statistics, for the year 2020, road traffic crashes is the leading cause of accidental deaths in this country. It's the leading cause of accidental deaths in this country, with close to close to 40% of deaths arising out of public safety indexes, what we monitored. 10 of them, road safety being one alone, accounted for close to 40% of the deaths that we recorded. So the indiscipline on our roads, the lawlessness on our roads is so huge that we need to, if you like, get systems to correct it before we think of any other thing.
Right. Now, quickly, also, Nana Akwaku did state that Accra is congested, and so we should be looking at relocating the capital city. I think also it is in connection to the traffic situation. What do you say with regards to that?
Well, thank you. While I have personal opinion on this, this may not necessarily be the position of the Bureau of Public Safety. And so I think it's important I put that caveat there before my colleagues come on me or descend on me. I think the Accra, relocating the capital from Accra is long overdue. As far back as sometime in the 90s, these discussions came up from other urban experts. So I would agree more with Nana Akoko that Accra is indeed congested. Perhaps it's about time we considered relocating the capital. If we cannot entirely relocate the capital, we have to shift some of the state agencies or headquarters to other regional capital so we can decongest Accra. I think that is a laudable proposal that is worth considering.
Thank you so much for talking to us this morning. It's been really insightful.
Thank you for having me.
So that was Nana Yao Akwada. He works with the Bureau of Public Safety, telling us some of the things that needs to be done in order to curb the traffic situation that we are facing in the country. Now, with regards to what Asante Hine said, there's statistics that show that in Ghana, the motor vehicle registered data indicates a sharp increase from a low of 159,000 units in 2015 to a record high of 890,000 in December in that same year, which is 2015. And so then this brought about the assessment by the Asante Hine and recommending that we do the traffic impact, the transport impact assessment. So please, let's try as much. I don't know what as individuals we can do on the road to save traffic, but I think that you heard a lot of what Nanayao stated, and so we'll try as much as possible to do one or two things to curb it. But again, we beg those that are in charge. Yeah, the obo any ferry say yes remo munye bibi kakramaye so that we can also have some sort of convenience and move about our daily lives. This has been the social segment on the morning update on TV XYZ. My name is Nana Abnasewa. Please do not forget that this show is brought to you by X Natural Mineral Water and of course Black Secret Makeup. Erica Hianyo will be back soon.
I love makeup. Applying it gives me so much joy. But when it's time to take it off, nothing does the job quite like the Black Secret Makeup Wipes. When I go somewhere and I feel really sweaty, I take my Black Secret wipe and I use it on my face. It picks me up and I don't look as tired as I did when I walked in.
Before I work on a client's face, I like to go over it with Black Secret Makeup Wipes to make sure the face is clean. It doesn't leave the face dry and tight, but it keeps it soft and moisturized.
Wipes say your bodo. Bakope, and it gets the job done. Or baby, and the smell makes the experience even better.
Welcome to Auto Check Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many hour Accra.
Sure.
Check, auto checks. Check, auto checks. Check.
Emission, check.
Auto checks.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check. Visit Auto Checks at Koforodia Aquadum Road for the road readiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much.
Auto checks.
Auto checks. Check.
Auto Checks. Your safety, our priority.
Check. Auto checks.
Welcome back. This is TV XYZ, a morning update on Xyz TV as well on Facebook and YouTube. You can join us by sending us your text 0556 999 999. I've been joined by a gentleman many of you are yearning to see because of one particular thing about him. He's Edgar Redu. He's an insurance marketer and he has a trademark. And so on the screen is Edgar with his white beard and typical African tradition. You look like a king. Good morning, sir. You only need some beads around your neck.
Thank you.
And somebody to be fanning your back. And you are there.
I don't think I'll be comfortable with that. Let me live my simple life.
Charlie, how are you?
But it's great. It's trying.
The person who sews your dresses, that person is unique.
Oh, it's just around the corner. 50
yes.
Ghana. 50 Ghana.
50 Ghana.
50 Ghana.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah, 50 Ghana.
Oh, then I'll steal my wife's intoma and then send it there, and then get some 2 or 3. So next week, I promise you, I'll be I'll be in the tailored design.
50 Ghana.
Are you sure?
Oh, 50 Ghana is called.
Are you sure?
Oh, the material stuff is 30 Ghana. This material is 30 Ghana.
I don't believe it. This one, I don't believe. This one, they make a top PG. I don't believe.
I say it be 30 Ghana.
You sure?
Accra, okay, see, 10 CD a yard. I buy 3 years. 30 Ghana. I throw give if so 50
this
Ghana.
One at the value of like some 550,000 dress.
Oh no. This one 80 Ghana.
Yo, I hear you.
When you like the ones is so free, 50 from 20, make 100. That's all.
Charlie.
Or maybe you take into account your trotro and things, and that's of 100 Ghana.
Then you look smart.
And just very simple.
So that's Edgar Redu, insurance marketer. He's joining me this morning for the news paper review. Edgar, let's start with this sad story. It started unfolding over the weekend about the 10-year-old boy who was killed. The conversation has started. There have been different strands to the discussion. This morning, we are told the body will be released and buried according to Muslim tradition. I believe from where you have followed the conversation across different platforms. What are your takeaways, or what should be our takeaways?
Well, good morning to viewers here, listeners all over the place. Basically, I think it's just a sad story that actually came out, but it's not anything new. It's not a new thing. How many years ago did we hear of Kofi Chinto and all these other ritual murders and things that have taken place? It's nothing new. It's just that, you see, the problem is with society. Society is the cause of all these things that are going on by the day. And when we talk of society, it is the fact that society, you, I, and all those that matter, and all of us, we fail to hold our leaders accountable. So failing to hold our leaders accountable because they have to steer the affairs of the nation. They have to steer the steering wheel so that we can all move and then arrive safely. Our failure to really, hold leaders accountable, these are the results of, the things that you are seeing. You get it? Because first of all, we are being made to understand, I don't know how far that is true though, but then we are being made to understand that this has to do with get rich quick. All right? I hear some fetish priestess
yes,
somewhere in Suhum
was picked up in connection with this, right? We are yet to know the in and out of it. And one of the questions I ask myself is this. So if it is true that this fetish priestess asked these boys to do this, the fetish priestess, hasn't she got a son or a daughter or anybody? Would she allow such a thing to happen to her child? But as I said, this is just what we've heard. We've not really gotten the real facts. So you also have to be very careful with some of your pronouncements and things. For all you know, maybe it is not the case. Then you may have made certain unfortunate statements that you may have to retract and move along.
Exactly.
But you realize that the police have put out an initial statement that the boys are suggesting that they were influenced by a spiritualist. I don't know if that spiritualist is the fetish priestess.
Well, I believe that is what may have led to this.
Initially, they were supposed to raise 5,000 cedis or so, and it changed to bring in body parts. And so the conversation has now moved on to the various platforms that are most likely to use certain doctrines to influence the people. It could be the younger ones or the older ones. And so the direction is now at NMC. I've read a conversation that has been put together in the form of a news item. The NMC is saying that they don't have the powers to go and stop any TV station operating on any free-to-air channel when it has to come to some of these things. And so we are now asking ourselves that beyond the punishment of the gentlemen involved, how do we get away from this?
And that's what I'm saying, that you see, it is a societal problem. What is it? We are being made to understand that it is get rich quick. What has society done? You see, when society fails to do its job, as I said, by taking the leadership on, the executive, parliament, your failure to take them on, this is what you are expected to do for the citizens. Look, if everyone is comfortable, right, if each one has something to do that brings daily bread, why do you think the person will be involved in some of these things? It is because one does not see any hope anywhere, but the person must survive. And in thinking of wanting to survive, somebody tries to fickle you out and say, look, the best way of doing this is to do that. You get it? We have all kinds of, we are not all of the same level.
Can those people be described as swindlers?
We have all of them in the system.
And so if swindlers are using public space to put out information that is most likely to mislead the public, can't the police act? Can't society? Because
the police have every power under this sun to act. But the police themselves, they are ineffective. They don't know why they are wearing the uniforms. So many things are happening in this country, and you ask yourself, so the police are there. If you, there's something known as, how do you call it, money laundering, right? Dirty money and all that kind of thing. You see a TV station where somebody is, money doubling and all that kind of thing, and the police are sitting there.
And the Bank of Ghana is also sitting there.
No, that's what the Bank of Ghana is to make sure that monies that are, whether it's counterfeit or not, he'll deal with it. But this one is actually against the rules. Someone sits down and says he's doubling money, right? And the police are sitting there. It is the Bank of Ghana cannot cause an arrest.
And cannot report to.
No, and I'm saying the police are there. You are the one that has to cause the arrest. Because you see, even though the law allows for citizens' arrest, hey, when I see you messing up, I'm scared of my head. Okay? Because if I want to arrest you and you give me a blow now, what do I do?
So when do you become a responsible citizen?
That is what I'm saying. Now listen, I see you committing an act. The law allows for citizens' arrest. But then knowing that when I try to arrest you, my life will be in danger, what do you expect me to do? I'll just walk by. I'll just walk by. I will say yes, something is really happening now. We have, we've seen a lot of, technology going on now. We've seen a lot of CCTV cameras being fixed around so many places within the center and all that. But you want to ask yourself the question of what effect has this thing actually played to the benefit of society? You have policemen at certain areas where they call visibility. What are they doing there? You won't go to Europe and see a policeman sitting by a tree or some block and then what? Playing with his cell phone. But all these policemen that they are on visibility, your programs and what have you, you see them sitting by the roadside chatting.
Or waiting for you to jump the red light.
Well, and then, playing with their cell phones and what have you. Some are sitting in cars and they've put their legs on the dashboard and just blaring air conditioning and wasting, public money. You ask yourself, what visibility is actually going on? Nothing. Somebody will just go and hide in some corner and wait to see if you jump the red light, then I've caught you. That's what they're doing.
Yet, while we are not necessarily putting the blame on policing or the lack of efficiency in the service, you would also realize that the other leg has to do with you and I, as you said. Look, how do we put pressure on those in authority to do the right things? The other aspect has to do with the responsibility of parenthood. And in many of such communities, even in the elite communities, you have children going wayward because you and I as parents may not be exercising the expected right in shaping the child.
That is why the laws are there.
Why wouldn't we also look in these at these areas and ensure that
that is why the laws are there, right? As though it will still come under the police, under the Children's Act. Under the Children's Act, it is an offense for you to leave your child to do things, even walk by the roadside selling these whatever, pure water, name them, granite. You see the children
not allowing them to go to school.
You see the children all over. It is against the law, right? And the police will walk every day, drive past them, and will not act.
But we know the size of the Ghana Police Service, and we know that if the police should decide today that they want to enforce every law to the letter, all of us will come back complaining because we will be overwhelmed. If almost any other thing you may do may be a breach of the law.
So don't breach it. So don't breach it. Be lawful and don't breach it. If you know it's against the law, don't do it. It's as simple as that. But if you try to be recalcitrant, let the law deal with you.
Should we go back to the situation where traditional authorities would want to enforce some level of discipline in their jurisdictions by applying their own laws?
It does not work that way. There are national laws. Okay, the law cuts across the board. Even the traditional authorities, they themselves, they mess up. Haven't you even heard some of these traditional authorities being involved in ritual murders and all that? They are also part of it.
But it doesn't stop what they can do if we want to empower them.
No, you see, it's like as a father, okay, a father, you know how you want your home to be, okay? And knowing how you want your home to be, you try to apply your rules to your home. The way you apply your rules in your home is different from the way I would apply my rules. It's different from the ways others will apply their rules. Everybody has his or his own idea or how he wants his family to be like, okay? A parent does not mind you caning the son if he goes wrong. Somebody will scream at you, why do you cane my son for going wrong? It's all part of the system, okay? But then when there are rules, when there are laws, those laws must be enforced. And you see, the problem is that the laws are there because that is society. We know that in every society there are recalcitrant people, there are criminals, there are hooligans, there are this. That is why the laws are made to protect the innocent person. You get it? So the laws are made to protect the innocent person such that the one causing the trouble will be arrested. Because we know it is part of society. So the laws are not made for the fun of it. You understand? So as we sit down today, the question is, those who are in charge, okay, those who are in charge, and that is what I'm saying, that we have a situation where if a parent, your interest is just having children, right? And not making sure that they are really protected. You, the parent, you must be dealt with. You cannot just go to bed and be making babies just like that for them to become social destitutes. It is totally unacceptable. But unfortunately, no one seems to care. And you know what? The danger in this country is this. When you think that it has nothing to do with you, it is not close to you, you just close your eye and then walk away. But you never know the day it could happen to you. And that is why I say it is society that is the problem. You see? Because if everyone in society rises and say this is unacceptable, the authorities will shake. And they know that they are not fit to be in office, and then they will be forced to do the right thing. These are the issues. Because when it comes to social vices, it is, it's such a broad thing that you cannot really, hold. That is why we have different areas all brought together to do this. One of the things that we even have, even the social welfare system. Where is the social welfare system in this country?
It's dead.
It's dead. Go and look in the various budgets. How much was made available to those offices? In some budgets, they were not even considered. You see? And that is where, for me, I have a problem. And I say, you have a parliament that would want to approve a budget, and the parliament will not go through to see whether all these areas that matter in society, whether serious allocations were made for them. Right? But you have a parliament that they are only interested in themselves.
So at what stage should the average Ghanaian reach the limit of the anger we are harboring to ensure that what is due us is done? It may not be an appropriate example, but I'm citing this because it's just happened. Yesterday, the president commissioned the House a $5 million project to be called National Award House. While it may be an appropriate strategy to put up that edifice for national awards and whatever they want to associate with it, some would say, where is the priority? And this is not limited to what President Akufo-Addo did yesterday. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we have had governments who are using the public purse. And it looks as if the priority is not directed at what actually will benefit the taxpayer. At what stage can we break away from this?
It is civil society, as I said. It is all about society. If civil society rise now, this project will stop. If civil society rise now, this project will stop. But society is sitting down. Why wouldn't they do what they wish? It's as simple as that. Here you are talking about, is it 5 million Ghana? Is it 5 million Ghana or $5 million?
How do you call it? 5 million, I think, CD project.
Yeah.
It is supposed to be called National Award House.
Now, ask yourself, what are we awarding people for? We have
for excellence.
We have conference center. We have National Theatre.
We have National Cathedral coming up.
We have even the presidency itself has a big conference,
room or compound.
So you ask yourself, do you need this thing? There's nowhere you can justify that you need this. There's nowhere. Looking at the seriousness of the problems that the country is having, right? The demands that are being made. You raise a subject. You talked about the fact that Charles advised the
government
to reschedule the reopening of
the final year SHS
for the final year SHS students because of lack of beds, probably other logistics things like that. And the government finds it necessary, say we're going to use 5 million to do this. Okay, now let's go to maybe COVID has brought a whole lot of things for us to see how bad our health infrastructures and things are. So you want to ask yourself the question that if we go to Kolebu Police Hospital, 37 Rich, I'm just even looking at just this small area. I'm not going beyond maybe 20 kilometers for us to begin to look at what is happening somewhere in Senyabreku or what towards the Fanti line or towards the Ewe area. I'm just looking at the major ones here. Rage Hospital, Kolebu, Police Hospital 37.
Or Fiam Kwanta Hospital.
That's what I said. I'm just going within just this about 20-kilometer radius. I'm not going beyond that. Go there now and ask. Even gloves that doctors are supposed to use, you the patient, you have to buy. A whole pack of gloves will not even cost say 20 Ghana or something. You the patient, you have to buy. So you want to ask yourself that even if gloves is what you then the major equipment that are needed in these hospitals, you see, and that's one of the problems that I have with you guys. You see, you guys, as you tout yourself as the fourth estate of the whatever
of the realm,
much is expected from you guys, but unfortunately, you are not also living up to expectation.
Now, if you say much expected from us, what really are you, just for the benefit of those because who want to appreciate the concern you have?
You see, 3 things. They say what? You educate, you inform, you entertain. Knowledge. People get informed by things they hear, get out. And you are holding that medium. Okay, you are holding that medium. Now, when you bring out the information, it gets into the ears of the citizenry. They get to know what is happening. So the actions that you took, like somebody says, radio gets results, right? Radio gets results. So when so many things have been, as it were, made noise over, right? People will sit up. But not for the media. this story you are talking about, in terms of this ritual murder case, who would have heard about it? No one would have heard about it. It's the media. So then it is expected that the media will set the right agenda. The media will bring up the very important issues, not frivolous matters. The media is the one that would engage. And then when the noise goes on, the human beings sitting up there will be forced to listen and act accordingly. I know, I mean, how do you call it? This issue that came up the other time, what was the name? Sometime back, there was this issue of some towing fees.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they said that every citizen was supposed to pay some money and whatever it is like.
It was an initiative that was supposed to be implemented by Zoom Lion.
Yeah.
And the idea was to use the DVLA to take a certain levy, which will make sure that whenever vehicles are broken down on the highways, then they will go and then tow them to some safer places.
What happened?
We kicked against it.
Exactly. Society stood up against it.
And what is wrong with that?
And that is the point I am making. That you see, when society speaks, the people up there get to know that the society is not happy with the things you are doing, so you'll be forced to do the right thing. But when the society keeps quiet, the guys would have their own way of what they're doing.
There seems to be some discrimination by the political elite in terms of distributing the national cake. Sometimes people argue that maybe government will place priority on where it can raise revenue. So in Accra, for example, you would see a lot of investment by way of roads and other social amenities. And you go to other parts of even Accra, and they could be living in some form of deprivation for years. So Kaswa, for example, is very close to Accra. You go to some sprawling communities where they will tell you that security is some kind of lapse because of bad roads or access to other things. Is it about time that all of us go back to the drawing board and agree that this should be the way in which some of our resources will be dispersed? Because at the end of the day, it comes back to the same point that you are talking about, but there should be a breaking point.
And that's what I'm saying, that the problem we have in this country is the failure of society. And I'll put everything back on society, because if society rises, those human beings sitting up there will do the right thing. Now, let me ask you, you just said this thing, and I just talked about the fact that a budget is presented to Parliament, and there are certain important things that society really needs, and those things are not captured within the budget. Meanwhile, our parliamentarians will do what? Would approve of the budget. Someone would ask the question, in approving the budget, what were your considerations? So, Eric, have you thought about it? Set yourself a program. Set yourself a program. What is the program? You want to look ahead of a certain agenda. Then that agenda you want to look ahead of, you get a team of panelists to come, and then let's break them down. You know, Parliament. We thought that, okay, I thought that after, what's the name? When this place got burned some years back, the old Foreign Affairs building.
Ministry, yes.
Yes, when it got burned. I thought that the government would have sat down and looked at our fire service real well, right? For the past 8 years, fire service are still struggling.
But they had a lot of support, I think, under the Mills administration, where they brought in a lot of...
I said for the past 8 years. 8 years, if I talk of 8 years from Mills administration is not there. 8 years. So Mahama Akufo-Addo.
Okay.
Right? They are still struggling.
It's another conversation. We'll come back to that.
It's coming.
Yes, I will come back to you. Don't worry.
Right.
Let me just acknowledge some sponsors.
Okay.
And then we'll continue this tangent.
peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For our Kwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Welcome back. This is TV XYZ. This is a morning update, and this is Xyz TV. Those following us on Facebook and YouTube. I've been joined by Dr. Ibrahim Zubairu. He's a lecturer at the Accra Technical University. Doc, you are welcome.
Thank you, boss.
This morning, Edgar Redu is with us. He's an insurance marketer. Yeah. The conversation started with the sad story at Kaswa. Yeah. We've gone past that, and we are looking at the way forward. And the way forward has to do with structures we have that we are not actually utilizing. And he was making reference to the Ghana National Fire Service, which we have not retooled appropriately after all the experiences we had some years ago when the Foreign Affairs Ministry got bent. And so you will just wrap up on that, and then I'll have a chat with you. Doc, you are welcome again.
Thank you, Ross.
All right.
Yeah, so basically what I was trying to say is this, that I was talking about the budget. Mm-hmm. And I was making reference to the fact that we experienced something some years back when the Foreign Affairs building got struck. Yeah. And ever since then, for the past 8 years, the fire service has not been resourced. The point I was only trying to drive at is this. The budget that has been presented the past 4 years, or maybe the past 8 years, let's put it that way. We have that building in Parliament. The refurbished Job 600. Mm-hmm. There. The fire tender there cannot go beyond 4 floors. The fire tender there cannot go beyond 4 floors. So if the fire starts around the 6th, 7th floor and it begins to scale up and there are human beings in the building, you are approving a budget. You, Parliament, you are approving a budget. And no one could see in the budget that for even their own safety in the building there, provisions has not been made. And then they approve it. Okay? We have all kinds of sky-rise buildings. When you look at Circle, that commercial bank building there, Liberty House building. You want to look at the main building at...
you go to Airport City Enclave.
Airport City is there. You want to look at Villaggio. You want to look at all these places, right?
City House.
All these buildings are coming up, right? But the fire tenders in this country cannot go beyond 4 floors. And you have, so you see, the problem, as I say, the parliamentarians who are supposed to be a check, who are supposed to make the executives know that, look, we are not doing the right thing for their own personal interests and what they will consider as party interests. Let it go.
Okay, so Doc, the conversation started with the death of the small boy, apparently murdered for ritual purposes. Sure. And then the narration went towards all of us being involved in the negligence generally, from officialdom to the individuals.
The last person.
And so we're looking at how do we get out? And so the question was, so the response in summary was that until we become angry and put pressure on those who are supposed to be implementing policies towards our good, we will not get anywhere. And so I made reference to misplaced priorities. Yeah. That's how people or critics may want to see it. So I said yesterday, for example, the president cut short for a 5 million administrative building for the head of state awards scheme called the Ghana Award House. And so I said, okay, over the years, we have taken certain decisions that doesn't seem to be identifying and addressing critical issues affecting the taxpayer. And that's how come he said, even in Parliament, for example, it looks like MPs know one challenge and nobody seems to be concerned about why and how the taxpayers' money should be used. And so that's where we are, and I want you to take it up from there.
Yeah, I think my brother Edgar seriously is on course. And what I can say is that the problem we have here, that we have to go back to the drawing board. You see, when you look at our laws, there's a place they said the government or the president has discretionary expenditures, discretionary expenditures. Apart from those that are statutory and the rest of them, certain expenditures are discretionary. And that's where we have the problem. So because of that, is giving the free discretionary to decide the priorities for the people without looking back to ask the people what actually are their needs. And we have reps, like you said, in Parliament, who are supposed to know that this is what our people need, and therefore, why are you not bringing it? 5 10 years, he said, I ask myself all the time, if there's fire in where we have high-rising buildings, what will happen? Because when the fire serves our rules to get there, it's another matter. A city, a capital city of the country, you still have potholes. You still have rules that have not seen a single bitumen before in capital of our country. But every year we approve budgets, billions, and let's say if old students will talk about trillions, in the new currency we'll talk about billions, and it's still there.
And Osafumafu say up pip.
That's Sheikh Isikwe.
Yes, and we still do, and there's nothing that comes. So they've not seen yet the anger of the populace until the anger of the populace tell them this is not what we want.
Do you foresee that coming?
One day it will. And if you see, Ghanaians are patient to some level. When their anger is taken for granted, or their patience is taken for granted, and they are angry, you can't stop them.
It has never happened before. So
Osajifo had been saying it. Osajifo had been saying, you see, my problem with certain institutions is that they preach peace. And those peace they preach, they don't go back and tell those people who are the beneficiaries of the peace that, look, hey, do the right thing. They don't go back there. They just come and talk you to the ordinary that, oh, in Ghana, be patient, in Sabotari, be with the government and blah, blah, blah. And people are patient. But instead of going back to tell them that, look, this is why the guys are angry, can you please do ABC, then do the right thing to avoid future recurrence? We don't do it. And these are some of the problems.
Okay,
so there's no budget that has ever been read. You see, ironically, communications, what do you call the vote for the communications is bigger than the Agric Ministry. Check the 2020 budget that has been presented. The vote for media and communication is bigger than what is for Agric Ministry.
That is for the government.
Yes.
I'm talking about the 4 million cedis.
My brother, check the budget. It's
bigger than the Agric
Ministry's budget.
Maybe there's some allocation to planting for food and jobs, so that will come to add.
No, on a serious matter. I mean, that's what I'm saying. These are real serious issues that you got to look at.
Yeah.
So there are some of these things we don't just pass them. No. You got to be very serious on that.
Sure.
It is for government communication. As somebody may say, government propaganda or something. Yeah. That is what it is. I mean, these are issues that.
So go ahead.
You understand? So an Agric Ministry, that's also supervise the production of food. That is our livelihood. The supply chain, food supply chain in the system. The budget that is supposed to help them do the work is less than talking on the media to promote government. Are we serious in the country?
But meanwhile, all the 275 human beings okayed it. You've passed the budget.
You see, one thing that sometimes baffles my mind. I'm doing some research. When we came to the Fourth Republican Constitution, I've picked all the budget from 1993 presented. I'm doing evaluative analysis to find out.
That's a big project.
I tell you.
Yeah.
I don't have any funding anywhere, but I'm using my salary and other things to do it. And Edgar, it will surprise you that when you take what we said we have done and we are coming for money to redo another thing, some things are zero.
Oh yes, of course.
And they span year after year. And when you look at the regimes, it will interest you that we are not serious.
But this is a big project. Dr. Ibrahim Zibaru is a senior lecturer at the Accra Technical University
in public financial management.
Yeah. And he's actually taking steps to analyze the budget from 1993 till date.
Yeah.
Allocations, promises, all kinds of things. We'll be looking out for it. I'm sure we should be looking at a special launch of this project.
It's horrible, I can tell you.
You know that I don't know whether in those budgets, I recall very well, Osiboche's time.
Yeah.
Every year there was a particular road that appeared. Bordia as in Kregwa, Bordia as in Kregwa. It appeared in the budget every year, and then we are asking why the Bordia was. Is it like from here to Alaska or what? That they never finish.
And you see, sometimes it's sad. Our laws, if you take, before we used to have the Financial Administration Decree 1979 SMCD 321, and then in 2003 we say we are in parliamentary democracy, or the democracy, so let's move away from those decrees. So we went in for Financial Administration Act 2003 Access 54, and that was amended and then replaced, have been repealed and replaced with the Public Financial Management Act 2016 at 921. When you go through these laws, there is a common tone that goes on with kind of misapplication of the vote. When you want to stop a vote, using a vote for another, we call it virement.
Yeah.
When you want to vire, there are consequences and there are rules. I can tell you, when you go to the budget and look at what has been done, we don't follow the rules of the government that the law has critically stated. And we sit here. What is our parliament doing? They have what we call oversight responsibility to check the executive. Are they doing it? Maybe today we have hung parliament that another party is holding the parliament with some leadership. Maybe that would do, because what I have realized that with the majority and ruling, or the majority with the executive, everything is rubber stamped. Everything is rubber stamped. Everything goes there, then it's approved.
So can Ghanaians hold the other side of the hung parliament responsible if they are not able to use that to...
They should hold them responsible. They should hold them.
I think that will be difficult, because you see, not the other side. You should hold the executive. Because when you say the other side is limited.
Yeah.
They will say, okay, we went to vote and these are our numbers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they will overshadow it, so we cannot do it. So it is
like the approval of the budget. It's 137, 134.
You can't hold them.
That's the difference.
So it is rather...
And it was approved.
I recall, I've forgotten exactly, but I think, was it in one of Akufo-Addo's inaugural addresses, and then when he made mention of trying to deal with matters so that Arab Spring thing does not occur.
In Ghana.
I remember in one of his speeches.
State of the Nation address.
He made mention of it. You see, and that is how it strikes. Because when the ordinary man at the end of the day realizes that, look, there is no hope.
Yeah.
that is when that civil society issue not, and it springs up, and you can avoid it.
Seriously,
you can avoid it. But then the failure, and as I said, you see, the Ghanaian system is a little bit funny. The funny thing is this, that those who talk, they call you too known. Okay, if you don't talk to them, it's like, because it's not near you, you don't even see it.
Yeah.
But I tell you, when some catastrophic strike,
those will be the targets.
I tell you, it says that society is not going down because of the people who are making noise. It is because of the people who are silent.
And they are not speaking.
That is why society is suffering. You get it? So quite a lot of things are just not right. And you know, like my brother is talking about the fact that he is trying to now begin to digest, analyze 93 to 2021. He's trying to do something. A good exercise. Let's also go back from 93 to this time round. Okay? National Population Council. National Population Council should be the pivot of our development. National Population Council is under the direct nose of the president. Okay? It is not some ministry or something sitting somewhere. It is under the direct nose of the president.
And the National Development Commission, Planning Commission.
Okay? Now you want to ask yourself, where in our budgets have we factored any document from National Population Council?
National Development Plan.
No. National Population
is okay.
Yeah, because you see, your budget.
No, I understand. I thought you were making reference to the document on, but you are right. You go ahead.
You see, everything starts from the population.
Yeah.
So your projections, look, we are projected to be maybe 32 million by the next 3 years.
And
we are projected to be about 35 by the next 10 years. What have you? These are the needs. This is how we're supposed to do. We are likely to have so many children going to school at this time. So what are the facilities, right? Do we have enough classrooms? Do we have enough schools? Do we have enough boarding houses? Do we have enough dormitories? Do we have these? These are things that you have to factor into your planning for the country.
But that information is out there.
Why are we struggling with classrooms? Why is it that
not even classroom? If you go to secondary school right now, go to secondary school right now. Go to secondary schools right now. Last Sunday, I visited my nephew.
We will come to that. The next topic is about that.
He has a mattress on the floor in between chop box and
so that's what I'm saying, that and that's what I'm telling you, that
let him land
in between chop box and the trunks.
They are sleeping on the floor.
They're sleeping on the floor. Other people are there. When you go to the girls' dormitories, it's worse. Why didn't we foresaw this?
That is the point I'm making.
And to buttress what he's saying, why didn't we foresee that this will happen, and therefore we have to plan, make provision for it before even it gets close?
And that's the point I'm making, that so we, just as we are talking about the budgets from 93 to 2001, let's ask ourselves the same question. From 93 to 2001, what has been the National Population Council's input? What documents have they brought out? How have they exerted? That's why I emphasize that it is directly under the president's nose. So in terms of projecting, look, some countries make 15 years budgets.
Yes.
Some countries are making 20 years budgets.
Projections into
the future.
Yeah.
Because
China did one recently.
They're doing it. You are sitting here. If you ask the executives today, what is Ghana going to be like in the year 2025? There is no plan. There is nothing. We don't know what is going to happen to us.
Either, you know, they have something in the public financial management they call MTF.
Yeah, MTF, yeah.
Medium-term expenditure framework. We borrowed it from somewhere. And do you know what? They just make it only 3 years. 3 years is not enough.
But even that one is not real. That one even is not real.
That's the thing.
I'll just tell you something here. When we are talking about some of these budgets, then we'll go back and ask ourselves, by the year 2018 was supposed to be the end of Rawlings Vision 2020. Okay? What was in that Vision 2020 document? Are we trying to say where the nation stands today is what was envisaged in the Vision 2020?
No.
When Kufuor came, they talked about 2015, then they brought it to 2012, then they brought it to 2010 or whatever. We've passed all over. We don't see anything. Mahama came, a 40-year development plan. Boom. Akufo-Addo came, we don't need that 40-year development plan. So we were to put it somewhere. What kind of human beings are we? What kind of human beings are we? You see, so it is like all those things that we are, that National Planning Development Commission, they are just a complete waste of our resources. Because I remember very well, Mahama gave them a lot of money. Nimoy Thompson and others, they went around the whole country, and if at the end of the day the paper they presented has been thrown away, is that how we waste money? And Professor Adai went to be the whatever,
the chairman.
What is it? Prior to that, I think PV Obing. What is it?
Then Professor Bosho took over.
Yeah. What has come
out? The names we are mentioning are
what has come out. What has come out of all this? And this is where we are today as a country, right? Are we? Somebody says that are we?
I'm saying, Rebecca say, I won't say it. Now let's move on to Dr. Ibrahim Zubeiru.
Yeah.
Zubeiru is a senior lecturer at Accra Technical University, and I'm told he's also a lecturer in public
public financial management and accounting.
Public financial management and accounting.
Yeah.
Charlie, these courses, they're hard though. And then Edgar Redu is an insurance marketer. Now, let's rethink our educational system. The Minister for Education is igniting a debate, and was speaking on the theme creating a 21st century education system for economic development. And this event was organized by GIMPA. I think it comes at a time when there seems to be some level of public anger.
Outcry.
Yeah. And this stems from what happened 2 days ago when many parents were not too happy about how final year students, some of who traveled on their own across regions, only to be told upon arrival that they have to go back and come back on May 5. Many people suspect government has no money, and so is trying to use these as cover-ups. But Charles is perhaps giving us an indication. It says that there are no beds. And I also know that some of the schools are saying there are no chairs in the classrooms. And we also know that government has made allocations over the years to support the free senior high school program. So at this stage, are we going back to rethink education when we have done these since President Kufuor's time, or somebody will say when we had the previous administrators of our education system, where we've seen those transformations over the years? Where are we going wrong? Let me start with Dr. Zubeiru first, because he's in academia.
Why do you want to miss such a very expensive name? Zubeiru, you can't mention.
It is because it doesn't come from where I come from.
No.
If it were so,
the name is too expensive to mess it up.
Doc,
when charging.
Doc, talk up again.
My brother, don't worry. You see, I've always had a view, because of my training from England, that community schools are the best way to go. Let us do it well. This issue of lunch box and the rest of them that we are using here for our work started because of the schools in the communities. I live in, let's say, Osu. There are schools here in Osu. I don't bother myself to go and be sleeping in a boarding house. I leave home and go to school and come back. Parents and the teachers share responsibility of my upbringing and not to go and go. When you go to England, just about 2% secondary schools are boarding. And this is for the rich. They pay. People go to the schools.
As low as 2%?
Yes. Check. You'll find out.
Don't say as low as 2%. one of the problems I have with Ghanaians and all these...
No, I'll come to you.
No, I just want to correct something here. It's about using percentages to make, because it is 2, you think it is small. What is 2% over 10 million? And 2% over
68 million.
It's still 2%.
No. It is a real figure that you understand.
Okay.
you see, so
I wanted to run away.
So there are community schools. If you live in, let's say, Kaswa, there are good schools there, good teachers.
And that is the issue.
You go there and you pass your GCSE or the SSC or WASI, and then go to the university. Why can't we look at such models and then develop them in our own country to save parents from this annual ritual of struggling, now going to get Wesley girls, now going to get Presec, this and that and that and that and that. We're saying there's no resource and people are struggling. Go to Achimota, is full to capacity. But there is a school that doesn't even have even a quarter of the people they needed, because that school is new and it didn't have a name. Why can't we make a name for it? And you find our resources that our tax monies have been used to put up, and they are lying fallow somewhere. We're not using them because all of us are running into getting best schools. You see, let's go back to the drawing board. What model of education are we looking at? Boarding, yes, some parents will want to say, okay, let's our guys go to the school and let's have our peace. But that's problem. You have to really look into it. Me, I've been saying, none of my kids will go to boarding school. Or take them to the school, bring them out, check them, and make sure that I help the teachers to bring them up. Because sometimes when I speak and the teacher speaks, when all goes there, there will be sanity. I leave it to only teacher. A lot of things you might not know what is going on.
Okay, but let's first come home to the current
our problem today.
Now.
Yes.
So that in 3 minutes we can wrap up. Then
we have made class A school, class B school, class C school, and what have you. That makes selection of the schools become problematic. A secondary school is a secondary school. It's a duty of the government to make sure that there are facilities in all, so that there is a basic standard that is needed. What are the protocols of a secondary school? What are the basic needs do we require to be able to run a secondary school such that students can go there, no matter how it is, and be able to pass their examination, tutored properly? Day in, day out, we say there are a lot of teachers who are not getting posted. It means that we have a lot of teachers out there who need to be posted so that they can be able to teach in the secondary schools. Now, we have our children coming, like Edgar talked about, population. How many of them do we know that this particular year they will go to secondary school? And why haven't we planned to get the structures there?
Is it not a matter of resources? I'll come to you again, Doc. Edgar, his opening remarks looked at the broad issue and started preferring some solution. Let me take your opening remark on this particular subject.
Well, I think the problem is I've forgotten where I read this thing. I've forgotten where this thing came into my knowledge. It says that if you fail to plan, then it means you are planning to fail. I've forgotten where I picked it from.
Yeah, it's a wise saying by one of the philosophers.
Yeah. If you fail to plan, then you are planning to fail.
Yeah.
And that is the problem we have ourselves in. I recall that this same issue, I remember very well, either 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
This matter came up for a certain discussion. I think I was on Metro TV then. When then Papa Kwesi Indum I think he was in Kufuor's government. He was a private
sector development.
Yes. And
okay, so just for the benefit of those watching us, that saying was by Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin.
No, but sometimes I've forgotten where I picked it from. Whether I was reading something or that's what I was just trying not to do actually. You see, I recall Papa Kwesi Ndum was making a proposal that look, there should not be any break. There's no matter what it is, all the children should go through to the final level. So at no point in time should you fail any child. You know, I remember Papa was on me, and I was asking this question: have we prepared the facilities, the infrastructure to absorb all of them? Maybe yes, Nanadu may have hit the nail right there, and now we've come to bear with it, because but not for Nanadu's free SHS thing, it wouldn't bite us like it's biting us today. And that is why I said earlier that Population Council, what documents have they made available to the various presidents in terms of the exponential, growth of these things? All right? You want to ask yourself that question. And then I said, so even Nanado, you came into being 4 years. You said you are starting a SHS, right? You knew very well that a certain number of students were coming to add to the already existing ones, right? What provisions did you put in place for the 4 years that this problem will not be springing its up today? What provision did you make?
I've heard government officials saying that, they've added infrastructure, schools have seen some expansion projects.
Has it solved the problem? So it means you did not do the right thing. Now let me get you something here, right? Having said this, you want to ask yourself a few questions, okay? I recall some of us said that, look, Massa, let's identify those who really cannot pay, and government pay for them. And those who that can pay, take their money and improve on the infrastructure. We said these things. He said those who cannot pay, identify them and pay. Those who can pay, collect that money, add it to the one that you also have, and then improve the infrastructure. We said this, all manner of insults were thrown at some of us. And I recall the finance minister himself on one TV program, he even alluded to it that, look, he doesn't believe that it should be so. Some people should be able to pay. And he used himself as an example.
Now he can pay for 10 people.
He can even pay. Yes, the finance minister said it. Then when the people threw the insult as
and other people says that he can pay, why would somebody pay for him?
Then they went back and said, oh, that is what the finance minister is saying. It's his personal opinion. And this whole animal called politics is such a bad gem like corona. Okay? It is just killing us and destroying everything.
When you were having a conversation and you made reference to the Arab Spring analogy, I was reflecting on the conversation as you came across with the position you have. I am a parent. My child is sleeping on the floor. I'm just taking it from the example you said.
It's not an example, it's happening. It's there.
And you are angry. And it is about shaping the future of your child. Parents are ready to make some level of contribution to the benefit of your child. And for political expediency, you said no. There is a directive that no. And this is where we are. So when can you then demonstrate that anger to demand what you think is right for your child?
That you see, if civil society understands. Look, a civil society.
Why do we have to go to civil society when parents are, are all over there ranting over what happened 2 days ago?
You see, as they say, one broom cannot do anything when you are together. If society agrees, just like the way people organize demonstrations and things, if civil society agrees that, look, we are going to take the executives on, they will leave their offices and come and think. Today, look at what the minister, what is it saying?
Minister for Education.
Yes,
there it is.
The minister
let's rethink our education.
That's it. Let's rethink our education. Why is he saying let's rethink? So all these years, Were we not thinking? All these years, were we not thinking? Today you are saying let's retake.
Is it fair to say that perhaps he's making mockery of us? Because if we cite the free SHS, for example, Imani Africa, IDEG, CDD, people in academia, renowned professionals who understand the industry, have made all kinds of recommendations. I even remember that the teacher unions consistently said, let us dialogue rather than imposing on us what you want. So at what stage do we have to come back and rethink when we know that over the last 2 years,
the point I'm saying,
this process has gone?
No, maybe it could also be an admission that, look, maybe we're wrong. We are wrong. But then, of course, that's English language. We wouldn't come directly to say we are wrong. So let's put it in this way and then let's get it. But you know one funny thing? I also want to look at it from a broader line.
Perspective.
Yeah, broader. And I'm asking myself the question that, look, with all the advancements that we have made in this world, of course, we are yet to even find our feet. Yeah, so we don't consider ourselves as the dynamism and everything that has taken shape. If, for instance, I don't need to sit in a classroom, but I sit in the comfort of my room, and I put on my laptop, and I can get access through whatever search engine, and I'm learning, I'm beginning to pick up knowledge. Do we still think that we need to consider that concrete wall structure, that we can only go there for education? Let's sit down and think again.
Edgar, let me come in there. For the young people, they need to, because of upbringing, modeling, and the rest of them, they will need. Beyond secondary, that e-learning and other things are good.
I'm just
from the formative years coming,
they're picking up the numeracy and then the grammar. I know, I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm looking at it broadly.
Sure.
Yeah, you see, I'm asking that. Do we still think that we need? Because you know, one of the funny thing is this, that until private initiative came in with the Methodist University, the Presbyterian universities, the so-called universities, we had a traditional Legon tech and then whatever. Could it have absorbed all these people? Not at all. You see, so you want to ask yourself the question. And then in Legon, 2 to a room. Now some is 8, some is 10, and what have you. So you want to ask yourself the question, and you ask again and again, that do we still need that kind of concrete kind of thing before we can get educated, when we have e-learning today? E-learning is there because the infrastructure is very important, and want to understand how we can put the infrastructure in place. Okay, look at the way the sun is burning us by the day. I tell you, even this morning coming here, when I turned on the shower, the water coming from the pipe is like they are going to use the water to do coffee. What? You know, I had to struggle and use some strategy to go under the. You know, the sun is burning like this. The sun is burning, and we are talking about renewables, renewable energy. Are we saying that we cannot position ourselves with small satellite panels around the country?
The solar panels,
that students can easily just tap into, which is not going to cost them any electricity, right? And learn. Let's think broadly, because these things are all there. Technology is there today. You are asking yourself the question, are you suggesting that so we are not seeing, you know one thing, 1 hour of the sun, 1 hour of the sun produces the energy the whole world needs in a year. 1 hour sunshine.
That's quite interesting. Let me read a few text messages and then we move on.
Okay, my brother, I wanted to, you see, the online learning is our Ministry of Education and the regulators who made mockery
of the
qualifications.
That's Ghana for you.
They make mockery of it to the extent that I'm telling you today, a lot of teachers in the technical university were downgraded because they acquire their certificates online and distance. So there are a lot of funny excuses. But for Corona now, they're asking us to do a blended learning. If Corona hadn't come, they already bastardized a lot of qualifications, acquire.
What brings the fear factor? Because when they were doing it to your colleagues, I remember I read a few statements by your unions.
Yeah.
But I didn't see any action beyond that by way of general protests as a way of putting pressure. So you just complained and left it there.
What they did was that they used the councils of the university.
Yeah, but
against us,
technically,
I'm coming. They use the council.
Several threats.
They use the councils of the universities against that. You are employed, Edgar, so know how to deal with them. And that's all. And that's how come.
You see, a
lot of the things people. So let me tell you, a lot of people are now redoing their degrees.
You see, let me tell you something here. You see, the problem we have in this country, and why we are so much examinated.
What I wanted to do was to come back to your problem so that it doesn't take.
Yeah,
so that then you can have space to talk about it properly. This one says President Akufo-Addo cut short for a 5 million CD Ghana Awards house. Mr. President, I guess you don't have priorities and you wanted to tag, and that all matters is about you. What benefits is the Ghana Award house bringing to Ghanaians? Well, if you read around it, it says it's going to give some entrepreneurial training skills for people, blah, blah, blah. It's all in there. And they have estimate of some thousands who will benefit. And it goes on. This one is from Ablade in Efiekuma. This text message says, it's from Mukaila Jones Adia. Your text message is long. I'll try to truncate it. It says, as for the congestion in Accra, especially the business centers, it's been a failure by successive governments. But I've realized something funny on Ghanaians and out of our leaders. When an accident happens, you see people left, right, center. As soon as it is over, we go back to our own actions again. Abdul Basit sent this from Kumasi, and you are greeting one Boniface Abubakar, but let me go straight to your text message. I'm sure the media can help to stop these so-called spiritual masters, fake pastors, and malams on TV. Cut short. Let me move on to another text message. Eben from Kwabenya says, from the look of things, I can say the center cannot hold at all, and the MPP-led government, incompetent Akufo-Addo's government, every sector suffering, education suffering, security suffering, road sector suffering. It goes on and on. I cannot read all because we have more text messages. Mustafa Lua Manya Krobo says, another government has finally collapsed our education system from double track to change in curriculum to lack of textbooks to no bed to no examination to serious consequences. I'm fed up. And this one came from Mustafa Loa Manya. It says, Honorable Davido, greetings. I'll read two more. Edgar, just bear with me. Good morning. I think the media strongly plays a role in this bad influence on our children. Mostly the children are the ones who watch TV at home in the absence of their parents who have perhaps gone to look for their daily bread. Very, very exciting text message here. The last but one says, from Correct Score Zakaria says, Napo, don't mislead yourself. You said this Dumso is not the type of Mahama Dumso. You mean Mahama assumed power holding scissors, cutting cables to cause Dumso? Very exciting text message here. The last one says, good morning, Mr. Hianyo. Keep the good work going. I ask God to protect you. You said you are rich bank from Agona Swedru, and it says, please, your security system has really fallen into a deep pit, which is making all these happenings. In fact, it is due to time we reinstate community policing. So he's talking about community policing. Edgar, you were on the floor and you were making some interesting point.
I will say that one of the things that we have a lot at our disposal, but we are not seeing the value.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just talking about the sun, the energy that the sun produces.
Mm-hmm.
Are we saying that we cannot get our guys at tech to produce the right size of solar panels that we can conveniently install at all areas where the sun will provide all the necessary energy
But what I know is that they have been doing them. I don't know if they patent and whether government is looking for people to invest in some of these things.
Why should government look for people to invest? Why can't government put the money in there? Because at the end of the day, it benefits the nation.
Yeah.
It benefits the nation. So you government want to put your 5 million CD in this, put it there. Put it there, and it benefits everyone. You get it? Because you see, we got to be thinking, I mean, ahead of time. When you look in Europe, they are telling us today that by the year 2030, because of this climate problems and what have you, by the year 2030, they don't want to see any combustible engine in Europe. They've said it. 2030, they don't want to see any combustible engine. What have we said in Ghana here? What have we said? So at the end of the day, what is happening is this. Only electronic vehicles are going to be in the Europes and in the Americas. No combustible engine.
And we will go for the combustible ones.
No, but if you go and bring the combustible engine here, they are no longer manufacturing. So if something of yours, your carburetor or your injector gets out, they are not manufacturing. And you too, you don't manufacture. So then what is the use? Even here, we made a lot of noise about, is it VW or so? When VW came here, VW went to Kigali, what's the name? Kagami's country.
Yeah.
He told them straight that he doesn't want combustible, what do you call it, manufacturing. They should start with electric.
Yeah.
And then they agreed, but we accepted combustible.
So is it that, and let me put this question to you, Dr. Zubeiru.
Yeah.
Is it that you in academia are failing to give direction? Because if I want to steal from Kofi Wayo's phrase that in Ghana we brag, Professor this, Dr. this, so and so, and so these are the caliber of people who have been leading us over the years, and we come back complaining. So perhaps you're not grooming people to be that patriotic towards building a nation, but we are building people full of greed and misdirection, putting us where we are. I don't know whether they are harsh words, but
no. I want you to understand that
the concern out there.
The animal politics is what is causing all these problems that we have.
When you say animal politics,
yes,
bad animal.
They send it to academia, and now there's a lot of division in academia because of this politics. When Edgar knows how to do something best, because he's learning to CPP, it's no use. If I read to WQP and I know something to be done, and I make research and bring it, they'll bastardize it. And this is what is killing us as a country. So another WQP president comes, and now you think that we have an upper hand here. Yes. And they have added the national politics with academic politics, and it's creating a whole lot. And regulators, instead of sitting back to be neutral, they always jump to the tray and then creating a whole lot of things. That makes a mockery of academia. And I'm saying this on a serious point, that until we delineate some of these things from the body of academic work and allow people to freely think and do the right thing, we'll still be where we are. Because even now, with the new law that I'm bringing, if I have to be promoted with my work...
You are talking about the public universities.
Yes.
Is it coming?
It is coming. It is coming. The government have got new mandate. They are going to do it quickly.
That's like you want to bring in Japan.
We know meetings that are going on
behind the scenes
to really go and present it. They say they want to do it earlier before the next election, so that by the next election we are tired and then
allow it
to be. And I'm going to bring it. And I'm telling our vice chancellors, I'm telling colleague professors across that this bill, we should stand against it and fight against it. When we go to the composition of the council of a university and you look at the people appointed there, if the president says that he doesn't want Edgar, they'll finish you. They'll finish you. And this is the problem we are having. So academia as it is today have been politicized. And this kind of politics is creating. Now, if they see you to be learning to CPP, you cannot be a vice chancellor. Even if you are qualified to do, you can't do. They can't make you. Those who were perceived to be NDC today, they are finding ways and means of getting rid of them.
How do you build a country?
Like this? And this is the problem we have in academia.
I'll just give one typical example. I just want to say something here. The bane, that's why I said, you see, the bane of our problem is this animal called politics. Yeah. We are so divisive. We hate ourselves. Yeah. We are not interested in the success of a Ghanaian. We don't want to see people, we prefer to see, quote unquote, some Lebanese man prosper. We want to see some Indian man prosper, Chinese but man. Not a Ghana man, because you are aligned to this and that. Let me just say something very simple here. One area that I was looking at carefully was like, this infrastructure things that we are trying to talk about, putting up some of these structures. Okay. Cement is a big component of the production. Yeah. Okay. Gasem is producing cement. Gasem is it Norwegian or Sweden or whatever? Norwegians. Dangote is what? Nigerian. Diamond is whatever, one of those countries. Ibrahim Mahama wants to set up a cement factory in Ghana. Where you go and buy cement from there, the money will stay in Ghana. But you prefer to go and buy from these people who at the end of the day will change it into dollars and send it outside Ghana. That one, we are very comfortable.
Yesterday, for example, I've seen videos of Jata Cement actually showing its production line. Yeah. And you see the packaged cement going out. So you see, so I get the trail from the conversation that, for example, if government directive is that buy most of the cement for
not necessarily directive, but then what we are trying to say is this, that when the Ghanaian is coming up with a concept like that, he can even give you a better deal. He can even give you a better deal. The money will stay here. So let's say, okay, look, let's enter into a contract with you. We want to put up maybe another 100 hostels here and there. Okay,
dormitories and classrooms.
So let's go into some kind of, okay, so you government, you want to come, okay, government agree. If Kenofriata says I'm going to take Eurobond, you say you every month to pay you so and so. What? Why? After so many Ghanaians are in that kind of business with government borrow their thing, it takes them about 1 year before they pay and what have you. You are better off because the money still stays here. If the money is in the bank, a businessman too can borrow from that. Your dollars are not going to skyrocket for your CD to fall. Anything the Ghanaian wants to do, right? He is frustrated. Our inability to move ahead with our 1D, 1F is because even people from AGI are frustrating their own Ghanaians who want to do the job, right? You say you want to, what do you call it? You want to encourage made in Ghana rice. MPP NDC Financier is a rice importer. He will frustrate the production of rice in Ghana. Then you, the executives, you are aware. You get it? And because it's a party financier, you keep quiet. So your policies can never come into being. This is the problem we have in this country.
Doc, I don't know whether you are equally frustrated because it looks like there's no end point.
You see, our problem with the exchange rate, city falling and what have you, I keep on saying this all the time. The study we conducted, one of the major causes is that the major players in our economy are not residents. So when the monies are generated, we are forced to change them into dollars into their countries.
Like he said.
Capital that's what I'm coming to, what he has said. So for example, if you take social area, like churches, most of them are foreign based. So all the money is here, by the next Monday, they change them to dollars and they go. We have colleagues working in banks, they tell you, the bank accounts of some of these churches, foreign exchange that go out. It's a lot. Put that one aside, we come to industry. A lot of companies, they are not resident companies.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So they generate the money, they mobilize the currency and then change them into dollars. So definitely there's no way our city will be able to survive this kind of dollar or this dollar. And in our country, we are so I don't know, we are so enthused with the dollar to the extent that you go to somebody's shop right now and you remove dollars, it's like the person should put you at the back. He's ready for the dollar than the city.
It is so, because at the end of the day, he has to import the thing. The thing is not manufactured here, so he will have to. He will definitely collect it.
And this issue, our importation too are so much.
Look, how can we break away from this? Look, this conversation about let's patronize made in Ghana has been on the table for more than 30 years. Under Kwame Nkrumah's regime, we saw industrialization peaking. And then we saw Ghanaians, maybe at that time, there was no easier alternative by way of the imports coming in, so you want to choose. But we have spoken about made in Ghana for years.
There's a way out.
We are not seeing results. 1 minute, you have 1 minute each. Let's wrap up on this, because
there's a way out on this. There's a way out on this. You see, we have to, as a country, find out where our priorities are when it comes to things we need in the country in order to propel our industrialization. First of all, what do people need much? Can we do it here? Then we put plans. That's why my brother was saying that if you fail to plan, you are failing, you plan to fail. Then we put in plan. At what point, what do we have here? We have 30%. Okay, we plan. By the next 2-3 years, we'll get to 50. Doing it here. So, in order not to disorganize the people, the consumers, we plan. As and when we're able to produce here, we reduce the import. So we look at those essential things. And maybe if we cannot produce the machines here, we get them from outside. But things that we can do here, there might be a way of stopping their bringing from outside.
Okay,
that will help us.
Most of the time, you realize that in the rice industry, in the manufacturing industry, we are told that some of the heavy importers use the back door to influence the policy makers, therefore soften their implementation. We have passed laws before banning poultry products, banning certain things, and we turn around and then revise them.
I said it. That if I'm a financier of the party, I financed you, and I financed you because I import. Now you want to kill my business. How? So it wouldn't work. The next thing is this. If you are talking even about the poultry feed, do we have the capacity to produce the poultry feed? We ourselves, we are not. Unless you want to tell me that the one who is into imports, you want to tell him that, my brother, stop the imports and get into production. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
But let me also say one thing here. The issue of buy made in Ghana goods, it's not that people don't want to buy made in Ghana goods, but there's a problem with the made in Ghana goods.
Yeah.
There's a problem. The Ghana goods is not meet the eye.
But this one meets the eye.
The fabric is not Ghana. It was imported. It was only sewn here. It was only sewn. The fabric was imported. It was only sewn here. But let me tell you something about it. When you walk to the supermarket or the filling station anywhere, and you want to go and buy a tin of Milo, I believe when you walk to the shelf and you see a tin of Milo and then you pick it up and realize that the can is dented, you leave it there. Yes, you would want one that is neat.
Yeah.
Because you think that is what is worth your money. Okay? Look, go to Accra town. Go to Accra town and go and do a survey. All the trunks that they have produced for the children to send to school, go and look at them.
That's them.
I mean, but something, if the finishing is so bad and everything, and see a one that is imported.
Yeah.
You see, so the one that is imported actually catches your eye.
Yeah.
But the one that has been made here doesn't look good. It does. You say, what is this? And when you ask them, oh, you know, so it is not a question of we don't want to patronize it, but it must merit the cedis coming out of our pocket.
Edgar Redu is an insurance marketer, and Dr. Ibrahim Zubeiru is also a lecturer at the Accra Technical University. I am Erika Hianyo. I started this with Abna. But wrap up our conversation. Would you want made in Ghana good, or you would want to continue to be indoctrinated? You look at what happens during Christmas. Look at all the hampers we send around. Can you imagine how much money those wines, those whiskeys, those chocolates, even we don't see much of made in Ghana chocolate. And you and I have been indoctrinated to the extent that if I get a hamper and it is local rice and some local whatever, I start saying that Papa will HSL pie. What kind of hamper be that?
Let me just say one thing. Okay, let me just say one thing. The chocolate you talked about. When Akufo-Addo came to office in 2017, one of the first things he talked about was Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana producing about 60% of the world's cocoa. Yeah. And then, well, we are getting less than 10 billion when the market is over 100 and something billion. Yeah. Right? That's what Akufo-Addo. Ask him what has he done ever since he spoke.
Yeah, what he has done, what he has done is that Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire have managed to convince the international community, so we can now bluff them a little and determine a common price.
That is not what we're saying. Set up the factories here. The Nestle's that are producing out there, set up the factories here. Go to the cocoa areas, set up factories there. When you set up factories there, it will create employment for the people. We shall also be able to export, and we also get the money. The Milos and all those people that are, these are the things we are talking about. Whatever you and Cote d'Ivoire has agreed, still, you will not get more than $12 billion. When it is over almost $140 billion out there. If you begin to set up factories here, right?
Even
the cocoa wouldn't have to move all the way from the Setris and to Tamaport to come and get rotten, and then when you go there, they quote some. You sitting in your country, and then somebody is sitting in Chicago and telling you how much you pay for your thing, because you know why? He knows you don't have the facility to move. But if you prove to them that you have the facility to move, they'll rethink again.
Edgar and Doc. Thank you very much. Thank you. Time I saw your phone. Bye bye.